Hi everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to Study Skills Session 2. Today we are going to be talking about some note-taking strategies. If you missed Session 1, then you can go back and watch that about organization, or you can just keep on listening to Session 2. My name is Miss Buoniconti, and I am a DePaul University graduate student. I am pursuing my master's degree in counseling. I am a former elementary school teacher. I actually taught second grade for the last 6 years, and I'm currently working in the high school setting as a school counselor intern. So here's our agenda for today. On the next slide, I'm going to ask you to start by taking the pretest, and then we will be discussing 3 different note-taking strategies: the Cornell note-taking method, SQ3R, and outlining. And finally, I'll ask you to end with the post-test. So here is where you can take the pretest. If you click on the red underlined word that reads here, it will actually take you to a Qualtrics survey. And the survey will only take you about a minute to complete. And again, your responses will be kept confidential. Thank you so much for participating and taking the pretest. Alright, so hopefully you had a second to take the pretest and have resumed to the presentation. The first note-taking method that I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about is called the Cornell note-taking method. And I've actually included a link that has more information, including the sheet and a video, which will go over some of the information in even greater detail. As you can see on the picture to the right, that basically the Cornell note-taking method is all about dividing your paper up and using the space to really help you create efficient and effective notes. At the top, you could put the title of the lesson, the date, and then you're really just making almost like a T-chart. You're really just drawing a line, not quite down the center, a little bit more left aligned, dividing the paper into 2 columns. So the first column, the column on the left, is called the Q column, and that's where you would write down any important information, headings, topics, maybe even like a question that you came across in class while you were listening to your professor or while you were reading a chapter, for example. Then on the right, you're really using that space as the notes column. So you are recording down any information that your professor talks about. So you're taking notes that way. If you have questions, you could be answering the questions or putting information on the right-hand side that would help you with studying for later. The next one says recite. So once you have, you've recorded, you've written down the questions, you've tried to answer those questions that are going to help you study, then you're actually going to go back and read over your notes. You can kind of recite the questions, the facts. You can reflect on the important material. And then you can, of course, review. So you're going to spend hopefully about 10 minutes of your time after you're done actually going back and reviewing your notes. And that's really going to help with you memorizing the information before a test. And so again, that Q column is about 1/3 of the paper. The notes column takes up about 2/3 of the paper. So that's kind of how it's laid out going across horizontally. And then as you can tell at the bottom, you're leaving a chunk of space on your paper for summary. And so this section is really great because it allows you to just summarize all the notes after class that you've taken and really, again, just pull out that key information. Okay, so again, another simple but really effective way. There's a lot of research that's been done about this method, and I would definitely encourage you to try to start utilizing it or give it a try when you're either reading a chapter or listening to a lecture in class. The next method is called SQ3R, and if you listened and tuned into webinar session 1, this was actually a method that was listed when talking about different memory techniques. And so this is Or just another really great strategy if you have a chapter that you have to read for homework. So the S stands for survey. So you are going to survey the chapter. And when I taught second grade, we called this a picture walk. So you're going to walk through the chapter, you're going to survey it. So you're going to look at the titles, the headings, graphs, pictures, diagrams, bold words, things like that that are just really going to help kind of activate your brain and start that background knowledge to be activated. After you're surveying the chapter, then the Q stands for questions. You're going to develop questions. So you're going to use the headings to actually help you create these questions, because the headings are really going to tell you the main ideas or the main points that the chapter is trying to make sure that you, the reader, understand. And then the 3R in SQ3R stands for read, recite, and review. So this might sound familiar with similar even in the Cornell note-taking method. So you're going to read the information, you're going to recite the questions that you've come up with, and you're going to review the answers. So again, you can see that repetition is really important and key when it comes to studying. Okay, so that second method was called SQ3R. So survey the chapter, develop questions, then read the chapter, recite those questions, and review the answers. The last method that we're going to talk about today for note-taking is outlining. And I've included a quick little video if you would like to learn more information about outlining. But as you can see, just kind of based on the picture to the right, is that outlining, instead of writing all full sentences, capitalization, periods, really worrying about grammar, outlining is just a way to get down the main points and to present it in a really organized fashion. And so in the example that they have here, this might be helpful for if you're writing, for example, a story or a writing assignment for English class. You have your intro, you have your first point, you have 3 key details, you have a second point, maybe you have 4 details that support that point, you have a third and final point and some details that support that, and then a conclusion. So how you would make an outline is typically using Roman numerals for all the headings, the main ideas, and then you can do bullets or you can do letters for the different points that support that main idea, and then you could even do continue to indent in for other details, and then you could have sub details, so you can with bullets or tinier letters, so you can get as specific as you want. But the whole idea is that on the outer left-hand column with the big Roman numerals, those are the main ideas, and then the further indented to the right in that you go, those are going to be more supporting details or sub-details. So again, outlining, the whole point is just to have an outline, not an entire story, not all the sentences written out, but just your key facts, your key details. And so it can be another great way to take notes and another tool to use when you are studying. So on this slide, you have the opportunity to take the post-test. So if you took the pre-test, you know the post-test is also going to be short and sweet, and it would really help me out. So if you could just click on the red underlined word here, it will take you to that Qualtrics survey again, and you can show what you know. Thank you for taking the confidential post-test, and please make sure you tune in to our third and final webinar on study skills.